Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to honor those who have fallen in battle on April 27th, 2018. For 10 years, these extraordinary individuals fought valiantly to keep our world safe from enemies far and wide. Today, we say goodbye to our heroes. Today, we say goodbye to our Avengers. FM, why are you mourning fictional characters? Marv, be respectful. This is the right thing to do. How about I give you an aneurysm? That'd be the right thing to do. What is up, family? Here we are yet again. As promised, this is a spoiler review of Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War. And just like I said before, and I can't stress this enough, we have plenty to discuss. I suppose if you're done mourning non-existent characters, we can actually get this thing started. Marv, you are so disrespectful today, but you know what? I'm going to allow that for now because my feelings about this movie trumps any type of disrespect that you have towards me. So without any more stalling, let's go ahead and get started talking about some finer details. And I suppose we should start with everyone who died. So in order of elimination, first we had Heimdall, Loki, the Collector, Gamora, Bucky, Black Panther, Groot, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, Mantis, Drax, Star-Lord, Spider-Man, Maria Hill, and Nick Fury. So there you are. Those are the casualties in Infinity War. This vaguely feels like you're making a list for an obituary. You're honestly not too far from the truth because the way the movie ended when they showed all the deaths, that's exactly what it felt like. So Russos, y'all ruthless, man. To be straightforward, the kill count starts rather early at the beginning of the movie because it opens up with the ship with the Asgardians on it basically being wiped out. It opens up seeing Heimdall half dead on the ground, and Loki is there as well, but everyone else that we at least see are pretty much all dead on the floor, and Thor is basically beat to hell by Thanos. And that opens up the whole tone for the movie. Hulk comes out of nowhere and tries to attack Thanos, which leads to a nice little scuffle, but then it gets flipped around when Thanos goes on the offensive, and man, did he go on the offensive. Like seriously, Hulk got pieced up real good by Thanos in this movie. He got beat so bad that pretty much for the rest of the movie, he didn't even want to come out. Like, Banner tried to transform into the Hulk, but Hulk literally refused to come out. Thanos messed him up. Wait, I thought Hulk wasn't supposed to be afraid of anything. Hulk still got feelings. It's just that because he got beat so bad, it made him scared. So honestly, it kind of makes sense. Long story short, they show up on the ship to get the Tesseract, which Loki was hiding, and he gets the Space Stone. In addition to the Power Stone he already got from Xandar, which apparently before, I'm assuming probably during the same time as Thor Ragnarok maybe, Xandar, if you remember the planet from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, basically got obliterated. Heimdall uses the last of his power to send Hulk back to Earth, and for that, Heimdall gets killed. Then next, Loki gets killed trying to defend his brother, essentially. Now, it was interesting because when he tried to kill Thanos, obviously he was unsuccessful. I think it was a way for him to take the attention off his brother because Thor essentially was the bigger threat of the two. So in hindsight, it's like Loki sacrificed himself for his brother. Damn, you mean the MCU actually went there with a deeper layer? Marv, you say that like that's the first time they've ever done that. Anyway, Loki gets choked to death in probably the most brutal way possible. He literally slowly was getting choked to death until his neck snapped. And it was like, wow, like, ooh. Yeah, that happened. The ship they were on blows up. Next thing we know, we see Hulk landing in the Sanctum Sanctorum where Doctor Strange is. And that's when the story gets loaded. They find Tony, he's let in on it, and then they're ambushed by two of the members of the Dark Order. I can't remember everybody's name. The only person I was able to remember was Ebony Maw, who was their wizard, and honestly was the only really relevant one in the Black Order. So the rest of the characters were throwaway. Okay, I got it. Essentially, from this point on, all hell breaks loose. That's when things just get nuts. It gets taken to space. Things on Earth starts happening. It's like, okay, the Avengers are already spread thin. They are pretty much next to non-existent at this point. So there's not much synergy between this team that once was whole. And of course, Hulk coming back, he's learning all of this. He's like, what the hell happened when I was gone? So later on in the movie, the Guardians find Thor floating in space, and he survives somehow. They manage to get him on board. They wake him up. He decides, hey, the only way that I'm going to beat Thanos is that I need to go to, if I remember correctly, it's pronounced Neverdelir, and it's the place where they forge the Asgardian weapons. This part was actually kind of interesting because the Guardians split up into two teams. Thor, Rocket, and Groot go to Neverdelir, and the rest of the Guardians go to nowhere to try to get the Reality Stone before Thanos. And let me guess, they fail in doing that, right? Well, yeah. And we also get a little bit backstory before that when they actually show when Thanos got Gamora from her planet. Even though we've kind of had this buildup of course, the daughters of Thanos hating Thanos, part of her still cared for Thanos, which is crazy because for better or for worse, that's still her daddy. They were really turning it up with the emotional feels, like seriously, and they did a really good job with that. By this point of the movie, Doctor Strange is taken by Ebony Maw in the spaceship. Iron Man and Spider-Man follow. They manage to take out Ebony Maw, and they decide to try to like take the fight straight to Thanos. They figured like, hey, fight him on his own turf instead of fighting him on ours. Of course, they spat a little bit, but they managed to get there. Meanwhile, back on Earth, you got Scarlet Witch and Vision being the thing. They're, secretly, well, kind of secretly being together and whatnot. And they attack Vision, who basically was taking L's throughout this movie. Wait, isn't Vision supposed to be one of the stronger characters in the MCU? To a degree, I still think that's true, but it's the fact that they got the drop on him by stabbing him with one of their weapons, and it caught Vision off guard, and it basically made him hurt the entire film because they had no way of healing him really. So it was like, okay, he was supposed to phase through, but apparently phasing didn't matter. That thing was still going to kill him. But I digress. Eventually, all this commotion between Vision and Scarlet Witch versus the two of the members of the Black Order, that introduces Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon to come and save them. Things are just really going right now. So it's just like, man, you are kind of just on the edge of your seat essentially trying to figure out like, damn, what is going to happen next? An MCU movie actually has unpredictability for a change. I'll take that. It's just like you, Marv, always seeing the glass half full. Hey, it's what I do. That's what leads them to link up with War Machine, and then they eventually plan to go to Wakanda to help Vision. So that's how that played out. Now this is where things get a bit emotionally brutal. Now, it's revealed that Thanos originally assigned Gamora to find the Soul Stone, and he found out that she knew where it was and she lied about it, and he made her tell him where the Soul Stone was by torturing Nebula, and of course that made her reveal the location, and they go to said location, and lo and behold, there's somebody waiting for them to guide them where the Soul Stone is. And wouldn't you know it, it was frickin' Red Skull. I thought Hugo Weaving was done with the MCU. Surprisingly, it was actually a different actor who had a pretty good cadence as Hugo Weaving's portrayal, but either way it go, it was tripped out that we see him again since, since 2011? Like, it's been a while. Skull reveals to Thanos that there are rules to get the Soul Stone. You have to sacrifice the soul of someone you love in order to get the stone. And that's where Gamora comes in. So, this is where Gamora dies. She is sacrificed in order for Thanos to get the Soul Stone, and that marks stone number 4. Damn. Damn. Little lost for words there, Marv? Well, damn. So fast forward a little bit. At the same time, the Earthbound Avengers are trying to hold down the fort in Wakanda while they have Shuri try to remove the stone from Vision's head so Scarlet Witch can destroy it. And meanwhile, on Titan, Thanos shows up to retrieve the Time Stone, which Doctor Strange has. And everybody that's on Titan, which is Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, and Nebula shows up, and they're battling Thanos, which is that's a magnificent fight. That's the only way I can describe it. Keep in mind, at the same time all this is happening, Thor, Rocket, and Groot, they're still on Neverdelir trying to figure out how to forge this new weapon to fight Thanos with. What's interesting is that it was revealed that Thanos had already been to Neverdelir to have the gauntlet forged. Now, if you remember, Thanos had the gauntlet since the events of Age of Ultron, so all this happened years prior to Thor getting there, and ironically, this was also during the period when Loki had took over as Odin, so needless to say, a lot of things went unnoticed. Anyway, they managed to forge Stormbreaker, but it's missing a handle, so the dwarf goes off to look for it, while meanwhile, Groot is watching Thor die, and the hammer's just sitting there, so Groot decides to use his own vines to create a handle, bring it together to make it a complete weapon, and it's at that point Thor's able to summon it, and guess what? He gets a really big power boost to the point where he's on par with the Thor that we know from the comics. The weapon makes him strong enough to be able to open his own Bifrost, so once he got the weapon, he was able to join the fight in Wakanda. So that was a pretty cool, it was a cool scene, that's all I can say. Before the battle with Thanos, Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to look into the future to see the possible outcomes. He saw 14,605,000, if I remember the number correctly. Tony asks him how many scenarios do they win. Doctor Strange replies, 1. At this point, it's getting real. So they come up with a real intricate plan to get the gauntlet off of Thanos' hand, and Mantis manages to get on top of his head with the help of Doctor Strange to try to calm him, but she's struggling to keep him docile, much how it was hard for her to do it for Ego in Guardians 2. And the thing is, it kind of all fell apart because that's when Star-Lord finds out that Gamora is dead, and he basically loses it and kind of causes the plan to collapse. And long story short, they have to give Thanos the Time Stone, and that was a wrap for that. So a lot of the commotion in Wakanda dies down, but Thanos shows up and he's going after the Mind Stone. At this point, it's up to Wanda to destroy the stone, and of course she doesn't want to do it because of course they're in love now, but she has to infuse it with enough power to destroy the stone. Meanwhile, everybody else is trying to hold Thanos off to no success at all. But I found it interesting that it showed Wanda's capability, because not only is she infusing enough power to destroy the stone, she has just enough to try to hold Thanos back, or at least slow him down to the point where Thanos had to use the Space Stone to get closer. Then, bam, Mind Stone destroyed along with Vision. Catastrophe seems to be averted, right? Wrong. Thanos was like, you know what, let me go ahead and use this young Time Stone to reverse what you just did. This man rewound time within that spatial area of Vision blowing up and took the stone out of his head, and there you go. Thanos completes his mission to get all 6 Infinity Stones. Now, just as Thanos adds the last stone in his collection, Thor comes in with the huge bolt of lightning and hits Thanos. Thanos responds with a huge blast from the gauntlet. Then Thor launches Stormbreaker right at Thanos, and it hits him right in the chest. And you think Thor got him, like he got him right directly in his chest and pushing it in. He was like, "You gonna die. You dying today." Now Thanos, seemingly weakened, looks up at Thor and hits him with the "You shoulda went for the head." Snap. In that instant, Thanos is in this place that's like an orange haze, which appears to be inside the Soul Stone. And then he sees young Gamora. She turns to Thanos and asks him, "Did you do it?" And Thanos replies, "Yes." And then she replies, "What did it cost?" He replies, "Everything." Then it goes right back to the moment after he did the snap. And it was a huge kickback because the gauntlet is like all charred. It's still functional, but obviously with him doing that, using all of the stones at that moment, it was a huge kickback. And at that point, Thor's looking at him confused, like, "What did you do? Like, what did you do?" At that point, he used a space stone to go somewhere else. He was just gone. And then that's when the body count starts. And all I can say is, wow. Bucky's the first. He just basically fades away into dust. He's just gone. Steve goes over to him like just confused, like what just happened. Then you start seeing one person after another, after another, after another, just disappearing. I've already listed everybody that went, but it's just the way they went about it. It's like you weren't prepared for who was gonna go. The ones that affected me the most was Black Panther, Groot, and Spider-Man. Though 2 of those hurt, 1 of those pissed me off. You can guess which one. Didn't go quite where you thought it was gonna go, did it? No, not at all. And Russo's think they slick, because if you look at that scene when Panther goes to check on Okoye, okay? The way they shot that made it seem like Okoye was gonna disappear. And right when this man tries to help Okoye up, he said, like, "This is no place to die." Then he fades away. I'm like, what? Whew, I was heated. I was really heated about that. But again, Groot disappearing, that hurt because, again, Rocket's right there with Groot. He's watching him fade away, not being able to do a damn thing. Okay? Then, of course, we see everybody else go, but Spider-Man, essentially he was essentially the last one to fade away. And it was at that moment you were reminded that Peter is just a scared kid. And it was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking. And after that, everybody were just stunned. They didn't know what to do. They were defeated. Like Thanos won. The icing on the cake is the last shot was of Thanos finding a nice quiet place, watching the sunset with a smile on his face. Cut to black, credits roll. Whew, man, if y'all could, if I don't even have the words to describe what that felt like. Simply put, it feels like you lost your best friend. I guess that's fair to say, considering that we had 10 years getting to know most of these characters. So, man, that one was a doozy. So, of course, after credit scene comes after all the credits are done rolling. Nick Fury driving with Maria Hill in the passenger seat. At this moment, it's right after the snap happens. So they're driving, a car almost hits them. They get out to check on the driver. There's no driver there because he disappeared. Then all other stuff starts happening. And that's when Nick's is like, "Hey, call in a code level red. This ain't right." But then Maria Hill starts disappearing. And at that point, Nick was like, "Okay, he goes in the back of the car to get something out of the bag to type something or whatever. Then he starts to disappear. But not before he has his device that sent the signal, and the signal gets sent. Then we are welcomed by Captain Marvel's logo. So he was able to send a distress call to Captain Marvel before he died. So yeah, guys, that was Avengers Infinity War. Well, FM, if all else, this definitely proved one thing. We're all just dust in the wind. Too soon, Marv. Too soon. So guys, that does it for this spoiler review of this movie. As I said, this movie, despite how I felt afterwards, the movie itself was great to me. It did exactly what it needed to do. I thought it was awesome. So guys, just post your comments and let me know what y'all thought of the movie and just how y'all felt at the ending, man. Like, wasn't that ending just such a punch in the gut? Like, that's the only thing I can say, but please let me know. As usual, family, go ahead, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things, and I will check with you guys in the next one. Until then, keep following my advice to go nerd, but nerd responsibly. This is your boy, Fallen Marvel. And I'm gone? Until next time, family, we are out.